Hi, I'm Rusty Messer from the law office of Rusty Messer and Associates. We're a personal injury firm serving the Baton Rouge area. Many clients want to know more about whether they have a good personal injury case, so that's what we're going to talk about today. If you've been injured in an accident, you might be wondering whether you have a strong case. And the answer is it depends. I'm going to talk to you today about the factors we consider in evaluating whether or not you have a good case. The first thing that we would think about is liability. Liability is basically fault. Proving liability, that the other person caused the accident and not you, is the first and biggest hurdle in your case. This is especially true in smaller personal injury cases. Insurance companies have no fear whatsoever about rejecting claims in small cases where liability is not clear. To put it another way, if the defendant's fault or responsibility is unclear, then so is your chance of achieving a favorable outcome in your case. The second thing we want to talk about are damages. Liability can be clear, but if there are no damages, then you have no case. Damages are the harm that was done to you in the accident, including your past and future medical expenses, your lost wages, and your pain and suffering and other out-of-pocket loss. Even in the earliest stages of your case, you probably have some idea how severe your injuries are. Cases involving broken bones, which show up on x-rays, are relatively easy. But soft tissue cases, such as neck and back strains, are more difficult because they don't easily show on x-rays or MRIs. The third thing to consider is ability to pay. Does the potential defendant have the ability to pay? If not, you and your attorney may invest a good deal of time, money, effort, and emotional energy in a case, but never see a penny in return. Either some type of insurance must cover the incident, or the defendant must have personal assets like property that can be sold to pay the judgment. The fourth thing to think about is, will the jury like you? Will jurors empathize with your situation? On the other hand, what kind of person is the defendant? Will the jury like the defendant? There are some bad defendants: the drunk driver, the tire squiller, the road bully. If you have an unlikable defendant, the settlement value of your case goes up. On the other hand, if the jury doesn't like you or doesn't believe you, your settlement range goes down. The fifth thing we'll think about are the witnesses. Your case is only as good as your evidence. And usually, your evidence is only as good as your witnesses. If, for example, your only witness on liability is a family or friend, your case is weaker than if there are several impartial witnesses to talk about what happened. Your doctor might be a witness to the medical part of your case. If the doctor involved has never testified, or doesn't want to testify, or doesn't testify well, this lowers your case's settlement value. The sixth thing to think about is, how tight-fisted is the insurance company? As lawyers, we're familiar with which companies are the most tight-fisted and will make ridiculous lowball offers on cases, so we might need to file suit. However, if the carrier is fair, and some of them are, we may get a higher settlement offer. The seventh thing to think about is, how much time has passed since the accident that caused your injuries. As a general rule, the longer it takes to get a case to a jury trial, the less sympathetic the jurors will be. This is particularly true if you experience pain and suffering or other symptoms for a limited time after the accident, but you're fully recovered at the time of trial. The eighth thing to think about is, how much damage was there to the vehicles involved. In many automobile cases, the actual damage to the automobile may be minimal. Car bumpers are made to absorb a lot more than they could in years past. If there was only a bumper scratch or a minor fender damage, the jury will question the extent of the impact and therefore the extent of your injuries. On the other hand, if the car you were injured in looks like an accordion, it will be easier to convince the jury that you sustained serious injuries. So to recap, the primary factors in determining the strength of your case are, how clear is the defendant's liability, how large and consistent with your injuries are your medical records, will insurance or defendant's assets fully cover your loss, will the jury like you and your actions and dislike the defendant and his actions, do persuasive and unbiased witnesses support your claim, does the insurer have fair settlement practices, will you be fully recovered by the time of trial, and in auto accident cases, how extensively and visibly was your car damaged. If you have questions about whether you have a good injury case, we're available to discuss your situation. You can contact us at 225-963-9638 for a confidential, no-cost consultation.